you know, you mentioned the meetings you had back in your district that were videotaped with you talking about Medicaid. In fact, the Tea Party in Ellis County, which is part of your district, was fulminating to get a bunch, in fact, for all we know, there are some representatives of the Tea Party in the audience here today, fulminated to get people here to oppose you, whether it was you specifically or you generally. And obviously, we know that there have been threats against you for some of the votes you've taken previously. You're going to get a primary opponent. We actually had people walking around the Capitol on Tuesday with 3-6-12 buttons. March 6, 2012 being the date of the primary. The idea was that all of you in the legislature are on notice that if you don't take votes the way we expect you to, we're going to find you an opponent. What's going on here? And what's it going to mean for the session?
Well, I think all of that will be forgotten by the end of May. That I think that they want less government, and I think that.
And by they, you mean the Tea Party specifically,
or those people that were wearing
3-6-12
buttons? They want less government, and there will be less government. They want certain bills to be introduced and passed. I think that'll happen this session, and I'm hoping at the end of the day that that fraction of people will forget what happened in from say November till January.
Till now. You chose carefully, I'm guessing, the word fraction. Do you believe this is a fraction, as in a marginally small group relative to the larger group in
Well, when
power?
I walked down that hall the other day to go to the tunnel, it didn't look so small. But I think there's a group out there. I think we saw it on Election Day, that overwhelming support for those kind of issues. And I think, as the governor has said, and the lieutenant governor and the speaker has said, we have heard the voters on Election Day.
What a lot of those 3-6-12 people were asking for, first and foremost, was a conservative speaker. Did they get one?
Oh, yes. Joe Straus is a conservative speaker. There's a whole lot of difference on how you can, what bills you can get out of committee, what bills you can get on the floor of the House, what bills you pass. When you have 101 Republicans to 76 Republicans. Right. When 76 Republicans, and Edmund was sick some of that time, and then the speaker doesn't vote, we had a real even legislature.
You got a much bigger cushion this time.
That's right.
Yeah. Does it really even matter if the speaker is as conservative as they want, given the fact that whoever the speaker is typically says, I'm going to abide by the will of the House? The speaker, in some respects, doesn't have the impact that some people think on the movement.
And this speaker sure is not going to hinder that from happening.
So the will of the House will actually be the will of the House.
Yes, and I think that's what Joe Straus has always been, of the speaker, that's the will of the House.
What was your message? I mean, because again, you've been in the crosshairs. I hate to use that phrase. I mean, that's the one that's now been the phrase of the week, right? You have been targeted by a lot of folks in your district. That meeting kind of got a little out of hand, the one that was on video. And the conversation about your appearance here today, a lot of the rhetoric leading up to it kind of was threatening to get out of hand. What do you take away from that? What do you take away from that in terms of what you as a legislator need to do this session?
You know, I listened to those people very patiently during that meeting, and I've listened to them since then, and I listened to them this week, and I heard a very misinformed group of people. And I remember one.
They're going to love that you just said that.
Well, I think they were informed by people that were telling them things, but they were misinformed about it. I'll remember that they said about a vote that Joe Straus took this last session. And they were shocked when I said, Joe Straus, the speaker does not vote. And they said, well, no, his voting record is terrible last session. And
yes, he didn't cast any votes. It was awesome. He's such a slacker. He didn't.
I said, they said, so the speaker doesn't vote? And I said, speaker breaks a tie. And they didn't understand that. And it was, then they would just turn the thing around, and it was, they were told certain things that, I know that, Evan, this will shock you, but truth doesn't always come out in political campaigns.
Is that so?
That's right.
Even
so, from the press.
Well, some, all right. I stopped talking about burqa that way. You like that? I kind of pivoted on that.
Yeah.